Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video I am doing my January TBR and let me tell you, I am so excited. It is a new year, it is the first month of the year. I'm feeling motivated, I'm feeling excited, I'm ready to hit my Goodreads goal this year, and I am so excited about all the books that I have to read since I got so many amazing ones over the Christmas period, and I'm just in such a big reading mood. And what could be more exciting than starting the year off with a Friends Readathon? Tyra from Tyra and the Books, who I will link down below in the description box, has come up with an amazing readathon for January, and of course that is the Friends Readathon. Friends is it's probably my all-time favourite TV show. I just love it so much. I watch at least one episode every single day, I think. I don't know how many times I've gone through all of the seasons, but as soon as I get to the end I just start from the beginning again. It is just so perfect for when I'm sitting down for a meal, when I get home from work to chill out, when I'm feeling a bit low to cheer me up. It is just everything, and I am so excited to take part in this readathon celebrating all things Friends. Tyra has done such an amazing job of coming up with this readathon. If you don't know, she's basically gone through all 6 characters and picked 4 of their most iconic quotes, and then along with those quotes she has then put a prompt, which I will explain in a minute, and I'll explain which ones I have chosen. Before I do that, if you could please hit this video with a like, that would be hugely appreciated because it really supports my channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So I'm just going to go through the characters in order of how they've been put on the readathon list on Twitter, which I will also link down below, and I am going to tell you what quote I've used for what character and what book I have therefore chosen for that prompt. I have chosen one prompt for each character, so I've got one for Rachel, one for Monica, one for Phoebe, etc. So I've got 6 altogether. 6 books on my TBR, that is more than I would usually choose. If you know me at all, I am a huge mood reader, so I usually only put about 3 or 4 books on my TBR for the month. 3 or 4 books that I really want to read, and then I can mood read around about. So there are a few more on this just now, but once I get my new reading journal, yes, I have ordered a bullet journal to start a reading journal for 2021. I've never done this before, but I've been watching so many videos and getting so inspired, and I cannot wait to start my own one. So I will be doing a Friends spread for my TBR for this month, and I'll put all the prompts, but I'm also going to put sort of an extras bit at the end just so that I can mood read as well and put other books in, but I will still fit them into prompts from the readathon. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, let's just get started. The first character that we have on our list is Rachel, and the prompt I have chosen for this one is, quote, "He's so pretty I want to cry," which is of course Rachel talking about Tag, her assistant. And for this one I have chosen Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Lady Taylor. Now of course this had to be fit into my TBR for the month because I am one of the co-hosts for the Sab Along, or the Daughter of Smoke and Bone read along, which I will also link down below. We have been reading one book in the trilogy each month from November to January, and doing a live show at the end of each month for each book. And the live show for the second book, which is Days of Blood and Starlight, is actually happening tonight at 8 PM, so I will link all the information down below in the description box, and I hope that you can join us for that. But yes, of course I had to get the 3rd book in the trilogy onto my TBR, and He's So Pretty I Want to Cry just worked, so that is the prompt. Read a beautiful book, and I have not shut up about these recently. These editions of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy are just absolutely beautiful. I love the neon colours. They're just absolutely gorgeous. So of course this fits into that prompt perfectly. This is a fantasy series, which I'm not really going to go into the synopsis for because I think most people know by now what it is. Lady Taylor is huge. These are actually my first Lady Taylor books, and I am in love with her writing and I can't wait to read more. Strange the Dreamer is one of my top books to read for this year, so yeah, huge fan. The next character we have is Monica and her quote 7, which of course is when she is trying to teach Chandler the ways of pleasuring a woman. And for this one it is read a book with 7 letters in the title, and for that one I have chosen Vicious by V.E. Schwab. If you watched my book haul you will know that I have not physically read a V.E. Schwab book yet, but I got this one and its sequel Vengeful for my Christmas, and of course I've been trying to read Addie LaRue for a few months now, so one of those is going to be my first physical book of V.E. Schwab's, and it does have 7 letters in the title. I had to check there because for a second I thought I was wrong, but yes, 7 letters in the title for Vicious, so this works perfectly for that prompt. I'm actually really excited I managed to do that prompt because I think usually the ones where you're trying to get a certain amount of letters in the title are usually the hardest ones to do, so Little pat on the back for me for that one. This of course is a fantasy duology that I've been told has kind of X-Men vibes. It is about two young men called Victor and Eli who, when they are at school together as college roommates, they strike up quite a big bond. They are adrenaline junkies, they're all about near-death experiences, and supernatural events seem to start happening around them, and they realise that they may be able to develop extraordinary abilities. And then we flash forward to 10 years later where Victor has just broken out of prison for an unknown reason and is determined to catch up to Eli, who is his friend turned foe. And I don't really know much more about that than that. But I am so excited to read these. I've heard amazing things. I love a duology. I love a trilogy. For me, a trilogy is the perfect amount of books in a series. Any more than that and I can start to get bored. But a duology or a trilogy, I'm all about that life. So yes, that is Monica's book. The next character we have on the list is Phoebe, and her quote is, "Oh, I wish I could, but I don't want to read a book you keep putting off." And this is probably going to come as no shock to anyone. It has been on my TBR for the last 2 or 3 months. I have gone on and on about how much I want to read this book and how excited I have been to read this book, and I just can't seem to get around to it. I keep putting it off in favour of other books, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So yeah, there are 2 V.E. Schwab books on this TBR. She's obviously in my heart this month. But yeah, I have talked about this book so many times. It's been on my last few TBRs. I've been dying to read it since I first heard about it, but for some reason it just keeps getting put to the back of the shelf. If you don't know, which it's kind of impossible not to at this point, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is about a young woman called Addie LaRue who in 1714 makes a deal with I don't know with who, I want to look with the devil to live forever. But the bargain for that is that she will not be remembered by anyone she meets. So she goes through life each day, throughout the years meeting different people, having different experiences, but whenever she sees a person again, they will not remember who she is until one day she sees Henry in a small bookstore and he remembers having met her before. And I'm assuming romance ensues from this. I don't really know much else. I've heard amazing things about this book. I've also heard some controversial things. Some people say it's too slow, but I often quite like a slow book as long as it's done well and the writing's good, and I've heard V.E. Schwab is a very good writer, so yes, I'm very excited to get round to this one for Phoebe's prompt. Now getting on to the boys of the group. For Chandler, I have gone for the quote, "I tend to keep talking until somebody stops me," which is to read a book over 500 pages. And for this one, I think this is the book that I'm most excited for on this TBR. I've just heard amazing things and the whole vibe of it just makes me so excited, and that is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. Just look at it. Like, anything with fantasy witchy vibes I am all for, and I've heard amazing things about this book. It is a feminist story as far as I'm aware. It is 513 pages. So it definitely fits the prompt of being over 500 pages. And this one is about 3 sisters, the Eastwood sisters, James Juniper, Agnes Amaranth and Beatrice Belladonna, who joined the suffragists of New Salem. And this is set in 1893 where there's no such thing as witches. I think there are stories of them having been around before, but they are eradicated. But these 3 sisters come into this suffragist group and begin to reawaken ideas of spells and magic and witches, I believe. That's about as much as I know about it because I like to go into books as blind as possible, but this one just sounds amazing. We know I love a feminist story, we know I love witches and fantasy and creepy magical vibes, so I am so excited to get into this one. Next we have Joey, and we have one of my favourite quotes of his, so I'm so happy that I managed to find a book to fit this prompt, and that is, "Joey doesn't share food," which of course is to read a book with food on the cover. So for this one I have chosen With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that Elizabeth Acevedo became one of my favourite authors. Last year I read The Poet X and Clap When You Land both last year and gave them both 5 stars. Absolutely adored them and her writing, and this was the last book that I had to pick up for her, so I'm so excited to get round to it. As I said in my Christmas book haul, the last 2 that I read of hers were written in verse, whereas this one is prose, so I'm excited to see what her writing is like in that style, because obviously I'm used to it being written in verse, but I did love her writing and all of the themes and things that she talks about in her books, and it seems like there are going to be similar ideas in this book as well. This follows a young girl called Imoni who is 17 years old, still at school, and has a 2-year-old daughter. So her life isn't very easy and her dream is to be a chef, and she feels like when she's in the kitchen and cooking, that is where she is truly herself and she can let go of all of her worries and all of her problems. And it says, Imoni knows though that there are are rules she has to play by. And yet, once she gets cooking, her passion to feed will nourish her soul and dreams too. With the fire on high, anything is possible. I cannot wait to get round to this one. It is quite a short book, I believe. I think it's just over 300 pages, and I feel like it's one that I will race through because of the content in it. It sounds like such an interesting read, and it sounds like it's going to be quite an emotional one again. Elizabeth Acevedo does tend to write about women facing difficulties in life based on gender, race, class, and sort of the circumstances that they are born into, and I really love to read that. I really love to read about women overcoming obstacles that are given to them by birth, and this one just sounds great, so I'm excited to get round to that one for Joey's prompt. And of course, finally we have Ross, and the quote that I've chosen for him is, "I tell you, when I actually die, some people are going to get seriously haunted." Of course, that is when him and Chandler are posting on their uni alumni website, I think, and they're trying to one-up on each other, and Chandler then decides to tell everyone that Ross is dead, and no one comes to his memorial. Or actually, scratch that. 2 people come to his memorial, but one of them was really only there for Chandler because he thinks he's gay. So yeah, Ross says, "I tell you, when I actually die, some people are going to get seriously haunted." And of course, the prompt for this is to read a book with ghosts in it. And this is another one that I'm so excited to read. That is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. I have heard only good things about this book. It sounds absolutely incredible, and I am so excited to get around to it. I've been wanting to read it for so long. And this book centres around the character of Yadriel, who I believe comes out as a transgender male, but his family have trouble accepting that, and so to try and prove his worth or prove his gender, to prove himself a real brujo, he performs the Quinces ritual and sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. But the ghost he summons is actually just Julian Diaz, who is the school's resident bad boy, who is not about to go into death quietly. And I believe the two of them fall in love, I think, and this is just supposed to have like amazing representation of transgender, obviously because Aidan Thomas is transgender himself. I believe he's the first transgender man to, the first transgendered fiction book by an openly trans author to make the New York Times bestseller list, which I am here for. So it's, like I said, it's supposed to have amazing sort of transgender representation. It's also supposed to have amazing Latinx representation, and it just sounds like a magical, emotional and intriguing story, and I am so excited to get round to it, as I've said for every book on this TBR. So those are the 6 books that I'm hoping to read in the month of January for the Friends Readathon. Like I said, I will probably add in extras for other prompts, and if I do that, I of course will talk about them in my January wrap up. But yeah, I am so excited for this month. I just cannot wait to get reading. I'm feeling so motivated to read all of these books, and yeah, if you enjoyed this video, as always, then please do give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more content from me. Comment down below any of your thoughts and feelings, and I will see you in my next one.